Hello, I'm William Gallagher, and this is 58 Keys, which as always, is for writers. Writers like you and me who use and you write on, well, iPhones and iPads, but today particularly the Mac. Previously on 58 Keys, there's a video recently, just a couple of weeks ago, about 5 things I did not know you can do in the Mac's Finder. I said it to you, and it sounds like I'm going to say next number 5 will blow your mind or something, but I was just researching, right? I was researching 58 Keys edition, and I found these things that really surprised me. I mean, I spend 10 to 12 hours a day in front of a Mac, freelance writer doing this since the 90s, and still there were these things I didn't know. And more than them just being curiosities, they're things I've been using since I found out. There's a link to that episode in the description. But since that video came out, I've also had comments. Actually, so many comments from people with their own discoveries like this, Finder tips. I mean, some I knew, okay, some I didn't, which is fantastic. But I get the impression that this means that you, me, everyone who uses a Mac anyway, has their own set of things that we think everybody knows, but they don't. I did ask around before talking to you about this, but let me show you, please, a few more Macintosh Finder tips that I did know, that I do use a huge amount, and which is possible you haven't come across, because it's not like there's a manual for this thing, is there? First, I say I use these a lot, but I've got to go back on this. I used this thing once and then done, but I'm grateful for it. On a Mac, if you drag a window to the side of the screen or the top, it automatically tiles. It takes up the left or the right half of the screen, or it can take up the top half of the whole thing. It's absolutely excellent, and it's useful and supremely maddening. I should say, actually, before anything else, if you then drag the window away from the sides, it resizes to whatever you had before, so that's very good. But so often, particularly on this wide monitor, I'm dragging windows to kind of position them in a neat row so I can see them all, work them on, and suddenly one of them will wallop up to the top. If you go to Settings, Desktop and Dock, and then scroll way on down to the Windows section, you can turn off this feature entirely. But clicking off the drag windows to left or right edge of the screen to tile, or drag windows to menu bar to tile, you can do that. It's fine. It's just sometimes this thing is actually genuinely useful. So rather than switching them off entirely, leave both of those turned on and instead toggle the one below. Hold Option key while dragging windows to tile. Now, I never have a window spring full screen or whatever when I don't want it to, but when I do want this kind of thing to happen, I just hold down the Option key and then I drag left or I drag right or I drag up and I get what I need. Next, speaking of full screen, actually, this picky stuff, there's a difference between full screen and filling the screen. That dragging to tile takes the current window and enlarges it to take up every bit of your screen. This actually depends on what screen size you've got, sometimes just as half, but it fills the screen from the dock at the bottom to the menu bar at the top, which actually I like. Full screen, on the other hand, gets rid of both the dock and the menu bar. You only see your app, and you get to that by clicking on the green traffic light icon in any app window. I never do it. It just, for some reason, I always think, well, no, hang on, I need something from the menu bar, and I've hidden it now, and it's just, filling the screen is much better, I think. So you could do this dragging around to tile thing, or you can hold down the Option key and click that same green icon. Doing that, by the way, if you do it again, restores the window back to what it was, or it does in theory. Actually, I mean, all of this is definitely in theory. That's nice. Most of the time it's also in practice, but not always. I find sometimes if I make an apps window fill the screen, it doesn't. It feels like most of the screen. It's enough. But then actually also if I Option click the green icon to return the window to whatever had it before, sometimes it decides, no, he must have meant my full screen, and it will put them out. I have not one thin clue why. Whereas I do know that, of course, a reason for making an app fill the screen, that this is what you want to concentrate on now. You could close all other apps first, but I'm not that disciplined, I suppose. And anyway, I mean, don't we regularly need to use more than one app? But I do like that concentrating part. And there's another way to do this. When you are in the app that you want to be in, that you want to work in, to write in, hold down the Option and Command keys and then tap the letter H. H for hide. It hides all other apps. All other apps hide themselves away. In theory. In reality, yes, this works with practically every app, but there are just some that don't play nice and will not let themselves be hidden. And I'm really surprised to say that what I keep getting it with is Apple's own Numbers app. Numbers is guilty of this. But if any app, including Numbers, is misbehaving, well, you can go to it first and then press Command H. That hides the current app, and that does work even with Apple's Numbers. Actually, that same thing, Command H is good for when you're done with the current app you're in and you need to move on, but you don't want to quit it quite yet. Command H, move on. So hang on, tiling, fill screen, hide apps. This is the fourth. The fourth and the only potentially dangerous one. Exciting. Instead of dragging a document to the trash or the wastebasket, whatever it's called, where you are, you can select that file and then press Command Delete, and that throws that selected document into the trash. Okay, but if you do it while pressing Command Option Delete, well, you do get a warning, but unless you change your mind at that point during the warning, well, that document is going to be deleted immediately. None of this sitting in the trash stuff while you think about it. It will be gone, removed, deleted. Yeah. I know you're going to be careful with that, but you also know that I have to say, please be careful with it, so that I at least have plausible deniability when you erase your entire life's writing or something. Let's go safer, much handier too. Say you saved a document with some ideas for your next story, and then you also found an online PDF that researched that was somehow related, and maybe you started an outline and you did a shopping list, I don't know. One document with us always seems to become many, and organized writers would probably start by creating a folder to keep them all together. What you and I can do instead, though, is select all of those documents we've created and then either right-click over them or choose the File menu. And in either case, you get the option to create a new folder with selection. Choose that, and you'll never guess what happens. You now have one folder with each of those documents inside. It is an untitled folder. You have to name it, but come on. Yeah. Speaking of folders, though, I know you have documents that are in a folder, that's in a folder, that's in another folder, and so on. Fine, why wouldn't you? But when you search for a particular document, what happens is that you find that file, that document, you don't find the folder it's in. So if it's that actually you want the whole folder and you just happen to remember the name of one document, it's practically tantalizing, isn't it? But when you have found that document, click once to select it, and then hold down the Option key. Option key is getting a lot of love today. You see the whole hierarchy of which folder begat which other folder, which begat. Yeah, you see the path to this document. You can also just keep the Option key pressed as you click to select different files and see this path for each one of them in turn. And more than a curiosity again, this is particularly useful because now when those are displayed, you can click on any of the folders in that path and open that. If you find yourself doing this a lot, and actually I do, turn on this path permanently. Go to the View menu in the Find app, choose Show Path Bar, and you're done. It's there forever. Now, the main reason to find any document is because we're supposed to be writing in it. But sometimes you instead need to share that document with someone, or you need to copy it to a different device or something like that. Documents, images, any kind of file. They can, of course, be sent between devices using AirDrop, and it's not like that's hard or it's slow, although sometimes it just doesn't work. Ordinarily, what you have to do is you open one window with these documents you want in them and another where you can click on AirDrop in the sidebar. Once AirDrop has opened up and shown you some nearby devices or people, well, then you drag the documents from the one window over to that. But instead, you can do this. Right-click on the toolbar at the top of any Mac Finder window, choose customize toolbar, find the airdrop icon, and then drag that to the toolbar and click done. Now, select the file or files you want to airdrop. With them selected, click on the airdrop icon you've just put in the toolbar, and away off it goes. One window, no waiting. Next, a particularly fast one, I think. Brace yourself here. You can turn your Mac audio volume up or down using the keyboard. I think you've seen it. The keyboard even has it written down. But if you hold the Shift key while you do it, you get an audible click. So even before you blast your ears off with music or tell a Zoom call you're still muted, you can actually hear what the volume level will be or should be. And then a bit of a leap here. I'm forever, right now, just before I started talking to you, running out of space on my Mac. I had to keep finding things to delete so that we could talk. Well, you can open any Finder window to the list view and choose to have every file sorted by size so you can see the big ones and delete them. It's absolutely no use to you because by default, you're only shown the size of the files in that folder. So if you have a subfolder with 0.5 terabyte in it, then you won't know. Unless you choose the View menu in the Finder and View Options. Right towards the bottom of this oddly narrow little pane, there is the option to Calculate All Sizes. Tick that, and the Mac will now show you the size of every folder as well as every file. The reason it's not on by default, but I think it should be, really, but the reason it isn't is that it means the Mac constantly working to examine each file, and back in the old Intel days, it wasn't the quickest thing in the world. Now, Apple Silicon, it's fine. Fine enough that you would think, click on the User's Defaults button to have this be the case forever, to have it so that the Mac always shows all sizes. Why wouldn't you? I've clicked that button and it has not once worked for me. I have not one thin clue why. I think that would be the 7th thing I want to tell you. 7th and a bit. Here's an 8th. Speaking of folders again, if you tend to search for folders more than documents, you can have it so that the Finder shows you folders first. Open the Finder menu, choose Settings, click on Advanced, and then tick either or both or neither, I suppose. It's a free world. The options in the Keep folders on top. If you click, for example, the first one, in Windows when sorting by name, then the next time you have a Finder window open as a list and it is sorted by name instead of by size, or I use date modified a lot, the folders in that folder will be at the top. The documents will be underneath. Next, it is a depressing fact, we don't tell PC users this, every now and again a Mac app will freeze on you. I mean, the good news is that it won't tend to freeze up your entire Mac, it'll just be that one app. I mean, little consolation if you've just written 1,000 words in that app, and you might now be faced with losing them, but it's something. If you know an app is really stuck, really frozen, the beach ball's there, it's never going to go away, you can force quit it. Right click on the apps icon in the dock, hold down the Option key, again Option key, and choose Force Quit. You can also do this via an app called Activity Monitor, which you've already know it is actually quite a handy app, and if you don't, well, yeah, it isn't. Next one, last one, actually, unrelated again, definitely a handy thing for us as writers though. Open Spotlight with Command Space, press Command 3, start typing Do Not Disturb, and click once on the Do Not Disturb for 1 hour option that appears. Now actually you could just double click it. You could, and it would start. If you did that, then for the next hour you will not get any emails, any texts, any calls via the Mac, none of it. This is using the Do Not Disturb focus mode, and it's worth fiddling about because it gives you an hour, and after the hour everything's back to normal. But you can also set it so that if you dive a bit deeper, you can turn on Do Not Disturb and everyone in the world is cut out, it's prevented from interrupting you except for whoever these people are you decide is important. You can go into focus mode and fiddle with that. Yeah, but just to go back to running this quickly from Spotlight, calling up Spotlight and pressing Command 3, or actually clicking on the third blobby icon along, that puts you in Spotlight's Actions section. If you do that thing of clicking just once to select Do Not Disturb 1 hour, you can then click in the box next to that. Type a couple of letters in there, a couple of letters that you'll remember, and then next time you do this, well, you can call up Spotlight, press Command 3, type those letters, instead of do not disturb 1 hour, and start the countdown straight away. I do this for speed, but I've actually become more reliant on focus modes kind of in the last year or so as I've had more projects to concentrate on, and I tend to run them through shortcuts, or actually sometimes by having them automatically turn on when I launch a particular app. But that's something you and I can talk about another time. For now, those are, was it 10-ish? It was something like that. Things I did know the Mac could do and that I use so much. I do remember, please, to watch that video that started this off, the one about the things I didn't know you could do on the Mac. I'll put links wherever good links are found. But for now, that's it for this edition of 58 Keys. Thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourself. Write more. And I'll see you soon.